fucking shoot you. I'm just going to get a second job. I'm going
Right.
to remortgage my house.
Right.
Like, and then that way, if somebody shot and killed you, you would know they probably deserved it. So
Exactly. But
there's
right
a
now,
real good reason.
I could run down to Dick's Sporting Goods, ask for, a case of 12 gauge shotgun shells, and somebody would walk out of the back, probably a 17 or 18-year-old kid would walk out of the back and just hand them to me. And,
Yep.
whatever. I could do whatever I want.
And I mean, like a gun like that, especially the only I remember watching some cop show once, and there was a black American kid, and he was hiding a shotgun down his trousers, looked like he had rickets or something, and the cop said to him, like, the only reason you have that is to fucking put a hole in somebody that they'll never recover from. Like, there's no good reason to have, especially a gun like that.
Exactly.
Above any other type of gun.
Exactly.
I'm not by any means a gun expert, but of all the accessible ones, the only reason you would have that is to fucking put a hole in somebody the size of their head.
It's madness. And it's something that, unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's going to be any sort of resolution to here and below the imaginary line that goes through the Great Lakes, which is called America. But yeah. I'm glad to hear that, it sounds like there's some sense and some reason being taken, in Canada and in Ottawa and with your government. So I salute the Ottawans. Is it the Ottawans? I'm a Virginian.
You never really hear them. I guess it would be Ottawa.
It's not like Ottawanian.
To it collectively, it would be Ottawa. I mean, they talk about Torontonians and stuff.
Yeah.
Calgarians. I mean, I guess it's Ottawa.
Ottawa. It's not Ottaweezers. Like the Portuguesers and the Ottaweezers. They're like, I'm a Virginian, which, I mean, it sort of sounds like a Scottish term for a person that's never had sex before. But
yeah.
Are you Virginian?
Yeah.
Going down to your cellarway and have a furious wank. Yeah. It's just stop me before I make a complete imbecile of myself. It's a bit early.
Your accent's better than most of the ones I hear up here.
It's a bit early to be on the Don Revy, but I digress.
Yeah.
Shout out to Paulie. You mentioned we don't want to get too involved in the politics, so let's shift gears over to the Celtic board, shall we?
For sure.
Speaking of not wanting to get involved,
let's go to a lighter topic.
Yeah. So. Let me get your perspective here and your thoughts. As you've spent a considerable amount of time here in North America supporting Celtic and experiencing what that's like. Now you're involved in the administration, as it were, within the CSCs and within the Fed, the relationship between the Feds and the CSC. And then that obviously concentrates back to Celtic itself, directly to Peter Lawwell. What's your take on the job that Peter Lawwell, the Celtic board, has done in reaching out to the supporters here in North America? What grade would you give them? And what should they be doing to improve the experience if you think they need to improve?
Absolutely. I mean, Peter Lawwell himself, I used to defend him quite vociferously. I thought he was all right. More when Strachan was there and stuff. Like, he was an outspoken defender of everything Celtic, and he still. I mean, I think he still kind of would if he was put in that position. I don't like, no matter your opinion on Green Brigade and everything, I don't like the way he treats fans. I don't think it's fair. Never mind the North Americans for a second, but the fans in Scotland, like, I don't know. I guess that comes back to him, like the security and everything. I'm sure there's a couple of people below him that have more of a say, but, he's clearly the top cheese at Celtic. Certainly going by his pay, I hope he is, but, he's certainly done all right out of it. In terms of North America, I remember going to, the only game I've been to in North America was Celtic Man United in Toronto about 5 years ago or something.
Oh, has it been that long? That's unbelievable.
I know. But I mean, I've been to a bunch in Scotland in the meantime, but
yeah.
But the only one in North America was that, and it was just like everywhere you looked, it was Man United in huge letters versus Celtic, and like tiniest print they could do underneath, and there's guys running about everywhere in Man United stuff. You couldn't see any kind of Celtic merchandise anywhere. The club never threw like any kind of party or anything like that for the fans. I mean, there was probably about, it wasn't many. Those games used to sell out straight away virtually, but now there was probably about 10,000 of us there or something. Like, that's a huge opportunity. Like, no, whatever you do, rent a hall. Like Charlie and the boys were over. I know they would never hire them, but put on one of your PC singers or something.
Sure, and there's
just
plenty
have a
of
big
them.
Party.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I was at the Murrayfield game there. They had a guy singing songs, playing guitar and whatever. And, like, just a guy like that, come over and play some pogues and let it be. Just organise more. Like, because the world's smaller. I mean, look at what you guys do with the media and everything. And, like, it's so easy to be in touch. You know, we're having this conversation, one person in Ottawa, one person in Virginia. It's not hard. The borders are becoming more and more irrelevant.
Exactly.
But and I've heard it. Like, I won't even order merchandise from the official website. And I'm not saying that I boycott it or anything, just because it's a nightmare.
It's a
and
pain
it takes
in the
forever.
ass. Exactly.
Like, I just like, my mother works in the East End of Glasgow, so if I need something, I just say, hey, pop into the shop and just mail it. Like, it'll get here quicker, and I'll get exactly what I want.
Exactly.
No size problems or anything like that.
Exactly.
So, like, I'm still amazed that there's no merchandising in North America. Like, especially when we're signed up with Nike, for God's sakes. Like, it doesn't
Nike
really get any bigger.
Exactly, and they're located in Oregon. I mean, they can ship it out. You know, they can send wherever it's made, Bangladesh or wherever. You know, they can bring it back to Oregon and send it throughout North America. There are no tariffs throughout North America. They can send it from Oregon to Ottawa, and there's no levies, you know, on it. Whatever, you can have it in a day. They can overnight it to you. They can second day it. I'm sure you wouldn't mind waiting, considering, you know, if it's sent over from Kitbag, you might get it, you know, sometime in the calendar year, maybe. You know,
I know. I mean, I remember, you know, the story that just infuriated me. Is it Scott Richards, the guy in Philly?
Yeah. Otherwise known as Yampy.
Yampy, that's right, yeah. He, was it him that told the story he wanted the jumper with Sans 81 in the back or something like that?
Yep, that's Yampy.
And, like, they kept saying, oh, we're not going to do it, and okay, well, give me this, and then blah, blah, blah. Like, 3 months later, the jumper showed up with what he wanted on it.
Yeah.
And it just seems like it's a group of people who have no kind of alignment. Like, the merchandising thing just devastates me. Like, I don't understand it at all. For such a huge company and such a huge club to not have anything in North America is just fucking baffling.
It is. And you know, to add to that, and this also brings in, you know, we're talking about merchandising, but this brings in the whole Celtic TV element. Now, granted, you know, you and I have talked off air about, you know, some of the challenges that have come up with Celtic TV over the past several weeks, where, you know, the feed was just absolutely atrocious, and obviously I have the reputation on Twitter and elsewhere of absolutely spitting the dummy and having a fucking meltdown when, you know, I can't get Celtic TV to work here. But, you know, come to find out, you know, it's sort of watered down the lane that there was a cyber attack on Celtic TV, you know, during that time, and they were trying to, I guess, tighten the noose around the culprit that was attacking the live feed each week for Celtic TV. Well, they finally caught him, but there was zero communication about it. I mean, they would respond on Twitter, you know, here and there and say, oh, send us an email, you know, with your complaint or whatever. But, you know, there's zero information that's given to supporters. I mean, it's, and you know, link that up with the merchandising aspect where, you know, you're quite rightly pointing out, and I've experienced it, and I know countless people that have experienced situations where they'll order something from the superstore, and then they'll wait months and months and months, and there's no tracking on it, and they just ask you to email somebody, and the person responds back and says, oh, sorry, we're looking into it, and then 2-3 weeks later, you know, it passes, nothing's resolved. There's no communication, and it's almost as if the impression, and this is universal, it's not just me projecting, this is universal, the impression is that they just don't give a fuck. They're like, you know what? What other option do you have? You know, just wait, just deal with it. You're complaining too much, whatever. You know, and there's not a sense that they take the concerns of the supporters over here seriously, and it's leading to many supporters. I mean, you pointed out, and I'm exactly the same, where I don't buy anything from the Celtic Superstore anymore, and I'm fortunate enough to have people over in Glasgow, in Edinburgh, that can, you know, run by one of the shops, pick up whatever I need, and send it over in the post, and I get it within a week. Whereas, you know, if I order from Kitbag, I don't know if I'm going to get it, you know, within the next 3 months. And you know, compound that with, the Celtic TV element. Why am I going to spend a fortune? It's a fortune just to have, if you live in a rural area, not near a CSC, and you want to just buy Celtic TV for your own personal use to use, in your own home, it's like $30 US a month. I mean, that's over $300.
That's just for the basic one.
That's just for the basic. I mean, it's like buying a season book. And, you get this sort of service that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. The commentary it leaves a lot to be desired, but I'm okay with that. I can deal with that. But at least level with me like you care, like you give a shit about my experience and you want to make it better, not just sort of bat me away. And as such, for that reason, I got rid of Celtic TV. I mean, I go to my local CSC every week, and in the past, I'd buy the Celtic TV subscription, because I wanted to I guess if it snows and I need to stay home or whatever, and I can watch it on my television as an emergency, but I wanted to contribute more to the club, to support the club. And now I'm sort of it's just devalued. Like I don't even want to do that anymore because it's like it's a waste of money. Like I'm giving money to people who don't give a shit about me. Why am I going to do that? It's sad. I mean, it's tragic that you have a situation like this.
Because you got like the I think it was Fergus McCanny who referred to us as customers, right?
Yeah.
But that's what they don't realize that over here, like you said, we go to the club. I would still pay for Celtic TV. Like, when you talk about snow, come February, I'm going to be up to my eyes in snow. It'll be minus 30 or something outside. And guess what? I'll still be going to the friggin' club.
Absolutely.
But I would rather have the option at least to say, hey, but to say I'm going to stay in my bed and watch it. Get that extra hour's sleep, for God's sakes. But, I mean, it's like you say, the commentary gets me as well. Tom Boyd's a lovely man. He is, a great Celtic captain. But I mean, he's born a sin. Like at least before when it was Tony Hamilton and Gregor. Is it Gregor Kyle? The guy was called.
Yeah.
At least they had a laugh. Like you could tell they were good mates, and it was actually a wee bit better than I thought. But now I can't remember the other dude's name. And
Paul Cudahy.
Tommy, let's say he's certainly not a man made for the media, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I laugh because whenever the conversation goes towards the commentators just now, and Tom Boyd's name comes up, and God bless him, I love him to pieces, and everybody you talk to will have the same exact comment that you just had. Tom Boyd, great guy, I love him, but the commentary is shocking. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
To the point where, I mean, we kind of now, I mean, it is what it is, and we kind of had fun with it where, we had the shapes to shoot game, every time they say shapes to shoot, which is sort of like...
I think of you every time you say that, by the way. I still do.
I mean, you have a bit of fun with it, but I don't know. I mean, you'd expect a massive global club, as the board quite rightly beat their chest about Celtic being, you'd expect there to be more, I guess, a professional element to it. But, but be that as it may, we still would put up with it. We still would tolerate it. We'd still, and we'd still have fun with it. Like it's not the greatest, but it's ours, and we can take ownership with it. But there's not, this is what I told Peter Lowell when I guess you could sort of say I doorstepped them. I camped outside the lobby of the hotel where Celtic were staying when they were over in August of 2012 to play the friendly against Real Madrid. And I approached him. I introduced myself. I wasn't, caustic in any way, but I wanted to just have a conversation and look the man in his eyes and just sort of get a sense for what I'm dealing with. Is there something there? Is there a soul there behind those eyes? Or is there, is it as bad as I've projected onto him? But the one thing that I said that I hoped he would get, and it doesn't seem like that's really taken hold. I said, this is the North American Celtic supporting community reaching out our hand to you. And all we want is for you to reach your hand back, because there's an army of people here that want to do the work for Celtic in terms of promoting the club, in terms of expanding the fan base, in terms of opening up the experience and expanding the experience for the Celtic supporting community here And we just need your help. We just need a little bit of levity. We need, a little bit of a connection, and not sort of this like keeping us at arm's length, and nothing has been done with it. And that's unfortunate. I mean, like you said, you and I are speaking. I'm in the Capitol. I'm 7 miles from the White House, the capital of the United States. You're, just outside.